Welcome back. Today is a very special video which I'd like to make for all of those people who are struggling to communicate. Now, it could be when you are trying to take an IELTS speaking test and you are not getting your score. Again, the matter of fact is that you are not able to communicate your answers correctly in the right way to your examiner. If you are sitting for an interview and you are not being able to communicate your ideas or your answers to their question, and the interviewers are not able to understand exactly how do you fit into their organization or how well your problem-solving skills are. Today we will be talking about all those people who also struggle in communicating in different walks of life. It could be that you cannot present your ideas, you are at a particular function and you're not able to communicate with strangers, make friends. So today we'll be talking about all of these problems and what should you do in order to communicate effectively. I'll be covering 3 important points. All you have to do is practice each point every single day. And I guarantee you that if you are doing this honestly, you will get closer to becoming a great communicator. So let's start with the very first point. That is to be more engaging. Engagement plays a big role. When you're trying to communicate your ideas or trying to give your answers, it could be in IELTS speaking section, it could be in job interviews, it could be at a presentation which you're giving in your office, or you're trying to talk to a stranger, you have to be more engaging. Yes, you have to be a storyteller. For example, if the question comes that, tell me the most interesting experience you've ever had. Now, if you just go ahead and tell them that, oh, the most interesting experience was that I did scuba diving. It was in Bali and it was on my last birthday. How boring is that? Give a bit of a context. Say that scuba diving is something which is really exciting to me and I have always had this as one of my bucket list. It so happened that last year on my birthday, I got an opportunity to fly to Bali and then I grabbed the opportunity to go do scuba diving at that point in time. I was a little scared in the beginning, but trust me, when I went inside the water, it was breathtaking. It was an experience which I had never experienced before. So much so that even today when I talk about it, I get super excited. So you realized what I'm doing. I have given the answer to that particular question, but made it more engaging. So the interviewer or the person listening to you across the table is trying to visualize your answer. Firstly, the person will be interested in your story. Secondly, the person will remember you or your story for a long time. So always try to be engaging. Even in IELTS speaking section, the examiner is looking at how you connect your story points, how coherent your answer is, how is your English grammar, how are you trying to use intonation, how are you trying to present your idea. The same things or similar things are also noticed when you give an interview. In an interview, they are trying to see, are you a problem solver or not? What is your critical thinking approach? So it is always interesting to see that what the candidate brings on the table. Remember this point, and from today onwards, when you are trying to answer any question which needs a bit of an explanation or a story to be told, say it in a very engaging manner. Before we move ahead, if you are an IELTS aspirant and are struggling to get your desired band, then do check out the comprehensive IELTS course, which will help you in your preparation journey. Let's move on to the second point, and that is to be quite genuine. Yes, you have to be honest, and you will not be confident if you have not experienced that particular thing. And everyone is intelligent. So don't try to fool either your examiner or the person in front of you by giving wrong or false information. So be genuine. Now, when does this apply? It applies to questions which you haven't experienced before. For example, in the IELTS interview or in the IELTS speaking section, if the examiner asks, tell me about an unforgettable moment, and in that point in time, you cannot think of anything interesting. Let's say you think that, my life is boring, there's nothing exciting. How can I create a fake answer? Well, the truth is, don't do that. Because at that point in time, if you don't have something which you can visualize right from the start to the end, you will not be giving a very engaging answer. And then you will fumble, you'll be using a lot of filler words, a lot of ums and ahs, and you will go down the drain. So the best way to say is, that's a very interesting question. Unfortunately, I can't think of any exciting moment in my life at this point in time which is worth sharing. Having said, my friends and I do have something planned next year. Well, it could either be bungee jumping or it could be paragliding. I am not too sure. We are yet to pick which adventure we will be opting for, but maybe that could be one of the most exciting experiences. It's too early to tell now. So what have you done? You've just told the examiner genuinely that you haven't experienced anything. So the examiner is not expecting a great story from you. So what the examiner is expecting is, how would you answer this question? So you've told the examiner you haven't experienced anything. You also told her or him a future activity where you think it can be one of your most exciting moments of your life, but you don't have any details about it at the moment. All you have done is you have used the right words, the right grammar, the right intonation to communicate this answer. That's good enough. Let's say you're in a job interview and they ask you a question, and have you tried or have you come across this particular problem at your workplace? And you haven't. So what would you say? You would use same kind of a strategy, and you will also try to give an alternative. So you can basically tell them that, well, that's an interesting question. Unfortunately, I haven't come across that kind of a situation, or that I haven't faced that problem yet in my job or my previous experiences. However, something similar to that, but not quite the same, had happened. And then you try to give another similar problem which you have faced, and then say, this is how I jumped into it, I gathered information, and I solved it. So what they're trying to see is, are you able to confidently tell them that you haven't experienced it, rather than just faffing around? And also to see that if you are good enough in coming up with alternate solutions. So always remember, communication is the key. It will not let your confidence go down. Now the third point, which is very important point, and that is to give pointers. If you are a person like who I was in my previous life, which is I used to just speak a lot, and then I used to deviate from the topic because I loved speaking, but then many a times the person in front of you is just looking for that specific answer. So don't get lost so much into storytelling that you deviate from the main topic. So always give pointers. You could say that, well, the main point which I'm trying to stress upon is, or the top 2 points or the top 3 takeaways from this is. So what you're doing is you are telling the examiner, don't get lost in my story, because the examiner is looking for the specific answer to his or her question. So the moment you use words like pointers or top things or top 2 things, what you're trying to do is helping the examiner to focus on your answer. So at the end of your answer, the examiner is satisfied, knows exactly that you've answered the question which was asked, and you are scored well in that. So you can deviate a bit. I'm not saying don't, because the storytelling means you give a bit of a background, you give a bit of a extra information, and then try to make it interesting. But always come back to the main question. Always summarize and tell them that this is the takeaway. These are the pointers which we should be focusing on. Or this is exactly how I tackle this particular question. So what you're doing is you're narrowing it down. So well, these were 3 top things. Now you realized I've used the last technique. Yes, these are 3 top things which you should be focusing on if you want to be a great communicator. Are these 3 the only things? No, but these 3 things can help you get closer to the journey of being a great orator. Good luck.